What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over everything you need to know about Fortnite Chapter 3 Season 3. If you guys are unaware, the season just launched today, and typically with a new Fortnite season, we get map changes, new weapons, and even some other weapons or items being removed from the game. So there is a decent amount of changes in a new season that can definitely change how you want to approach the game and how you want to play the game. If you guys do find this video helpful or informative, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you would like to see more, and comment down below what your initial impressions are about Season 3. What is your favorite thing about this season so far? For me, it has to be the weapons they vaulted, and that is going to be the drum shotgun, the IO tank, and the Battlebus. I'm pretty sure are all removed from the game. I've seen people saying the Battlebus is still in, but I didn't see it at all when I was playing today. The jetpack was also removed, and the balloons are removed as well. There may be a few other things that were vaulted, but those are like the more important things from what I've seen. There was also 3 new weapons added to the game: the DMR, the 2-shot shotgun, which is like a 2-shot burst shotgun, and the hammer assault rifle. So to get into that, the DMR, I really do not see myself using at all. You could argue that this gun is good, but I really don't think it is, and I think if you're skilled with the AUG, you're going to be able to do fine with the AUG at long range, but you're also going to be able to use the AUG more in like close to medium range. The AUG is just so ridiculous, and it is returning from last season. The MK7 was also vaulted. I think I may have missed that, but the MK7 was vaulted, but the AUG remains. The 2-shot shotgun seems okay. I haven't used it that much. I do have a win with it in this gameplay in the video that I'm going to be using in the background footage, but it seems okay. But I just really don't know why I would want to use this over the pump. So it shoots 2 shots. They both do decent-ish damage. Like if you hit both shots, you're typically going to do over 100 damage. But the pump, if you hit a decent shot, you will be doing over 100 damage as well. And you shoot that one shot at once, and then you can swap right back to your SMG and shoot, and then swap back to your pump. Whereas the 2-shot shotgun, it shoots like 250 damage shots, let's say, and there is a delay between bursts, so you do have to play around the SMG as well. Like it's not so fast that it's basically full auto. It's like pump, 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 pump. Like there's like a delay between, so you have to worry about swapping to your SMG to fill that gap in the meantime. And if I'm gonna have to use my SMG, I would rather just use the pump and get that damage out in one shot. That way we have more time to SMG, and then we can swap back to the pump. It's just not so spammable that you can completely ignore your SMG. So I really don't know. I don't think this weapon is that good. I think a lot of people will expect it to be overpowered because whenever there's a new shotgun, people think it's overpowered. But I think the pump is still the best shotgun. The Ranger shotgun was also vaulted. I'm sorry, I forgot to say it. The Ranger shotgun is vaulted. So the only shotguns we have in the game right now are the pump, the 2-shot shotgun, and the auto. And I think the pump is the best, but the auto and the 2-shot shotgun are close, and I'm not sure which is second. The auto shotgun has been underrated for a while. It's pretty decent. It was just hard countered by the drum shotgun last season. So if you want a spammy shotgun, the auto shotgun is going to be more spammy than the 2-shot shotgun is. But yeah, they're a close second, but I would still prefer the pump. And then the hammer AR is okay. It's good, but I just do not think it fits well in the current meta because it's more of like a close to medium range assault rifle. It's not as good at long range as the AUG, but we have the combat SMG in the game, which is nasty at close to medium range. And there are ranges where the hammer AR is going to do better, but I just don't really feel the need to carry a weapon to fill that void. Like I'm going to have a picture I drew on screen right now to kind of show that and explain it a little bit better because I feel like it's kind of hard to explain this. But the orange line is going to be the effective range of the combat SMG. The red line is going to be the effective range of the hammer AR, and then that blue line is going to be the AUG. So as you see, like the hammer AR and the combat SMG overlap a bunch, and if you only have 5 items to carry in Fortnite, so it's really important that you carry items that kind of fill different ranges. So I feel like the combat SMG and the AUG is just a much better combo because you cover all of the range that the hammer AR does, but you also cover like a lot more close range with the SMG and then a lot more long range with the AUG. I just feel like the hammer AR is a decent weapon, but it doesn't really fit in the current meta. And I think the only way, or the main point of this weapon would be that it's kind of like an assault rifle SMG hybrid. So if you wanted to carry a 2-gun loadout, like just your shotgun and that AR to kind of fill the void of AR and SMG, it could kind of do that, but it doesn't really make sense to do that in the current meta. People did that in Chapter 2 a bunch, but the SMGs we had in Chapter 2 were way less effective than the SMGs we have in Chapter 3. So if the SMGs get removed from the game, like let's say the combat SMG gets removed, or if the combat SMG gets significantly nerfed, then I could see the hammer AR like having a spot in the game and being usable, because it is a decent gun. It just doesn't really have a spot in the current meta at all, I feel like, so I don't really see myself using it. But it is like a somewhat fun gun to use, but just as far as effectiveness goes, I don't think it's really it. So that's it as far as the weapons go. I think AUG, pump, combat sub, shockwaves, and healing item is still like by far the best loadout in season 3. The top tier meta loadout, in my opinion, didn't change at all. There is some map changes in this season. Luckily though, we didn't get very many map changes last season, but the entire left side of the map has pretty much changed. Command Cavern has been replaced with Rave Cave. It has a really similar like layout, like the cave and like the geography of the area is pretty much the same, but there is like some visual differences, and there's also a slipstream outside now, which is basically a wind tunnel that allows you to fly around. And the ballers are back. So the ballers are back, and they can be found at Rave Cave. I don't know if they can be found anywhere else on the map. They do have fuel now, and you cannot refuel the ballers. So once your baller runs out of fuel, it's done. The ballers are a really contentious item in the Fortnite community because early on they were pretty overpowered, but they got nerfed over time. Like while they remained in the game in chapter 1, they got nerfed several times. And I thought like the final version of ballers that we had were really balanced, because it was a decent form of mobility. You could get around the map somewhat quickly, but it was also really easy for someone to destroy it. I think it has like 400 HP or 800 HP. It's really easy to just destroy the baller and fry them. So I don't think it's too overpowered. I think it's really balanced. Interesting to see them back. I think a lot of people are going to complain about them, because for whatever reason, people in the Fortnite community, or just gaming in general, they don't really adjust their opinions on items when things get nerfed. You know, like the launch ballers were really busted, but once they got nerfed several times, they really weren't that big of a deal. And I don't think the ballers are going to be that annoying in chapter 3. I think they're pretty well balanced, and risk reward wise, I think it's like one of the most like balanced or perfect mobility items in the game. I would much rather have this than something like a Battlebus or a tank. So that's Rave Cave. Greasy is similar, but it got nerfed pretty hard. So they have like this entire mushroom biome, and it looks really nice. But the way this affected Greasy, I feel like is pretty bad. Greasy seems like it just has way less loot now. Like that main shop doesn't seem to have as many coolers, which results in less splashes. And a lot of the buildings kind of got like partially destroyed by the mushrooms, and there seems to be less loot there. And that can be okay, but for now there's too many people going there because it's like a new POI. But once people kind of realize like Greasy isn't as good as it used to be, there will probably be less people going there, and then it'll be fine. But just for the amount of people going there right now, I feel like it doesn't have enough loot. And then the same thing I could say about Reality Falls. I really don't understand this POI. It's like a big tree, and then there's also like some houses on the outskirts of it, but it's not a very densely like, it's not a very loot dense POI, I would say. Reality Falls in the bottom left corner of the map. So it being the start of the season right now, a lot of people are going there to see what's new, but I don't think it's a very good POI for the amount of people going there. Later on in the season, when less people are landing at it, it might be a really good POI. But for now, I feel like Reality Falls has way too many people landing there, and it's just not really something I want to deal with personally. There are some interesting landmarks in the bottom left corner of the map, though. There's the big chair, which was something on the Chapter 1 map. It's not in the same spot that it was on the Chapter 1 map, but it is somewhat close. And then they also have one of these Dusty Depot buildings called like Displaced Depot, I think, which is really interesting. And then there's also the shark from the Chapter 2 map. So there's a bunch of like stuff going on in this area that is kind of like references to some past spots in Fortnite. So maybe some things will change later on in the season regarding those, but we'll have to see. And the block is also returning at Tilted Towers. If you guys didn't play in Chapter 1, the block was a POI. That was just a blank slab of concrete, and then players in creative could create things to be featured on the block. And this was really nice because there was weekly map changes, but it was also weekly map changes that Epic didn't need to do, and they didn't need to be like part of the storyline at all. You know, one week it might be an abandoned factory, one week it might be like a Honey I Shrunk the Kid style like picnic with really large food items, and then the next week it might be like a random village. You never knew what to expect with the block. It was something fun to check out every week. It was something that Epic didn't necessarily have to do themselves. And for the people in the creative community that like to make that sort of thing, also, like, it was probably really nice for them. So I think the block returning is really nice. I think the block is one of the best changes they ever made. And I'm very sad that it didn't return in Chapter 2. And having it in Chapter 3 is nice. So there's going to be different parts of Tilted that are replaced by the block when people make it. So that'll be really cool to see. Storm Sickness is something new they added this season, which if you exist in the storm too long, it's basically a multiplier. that makes it to where you will take more storm damage over time. This is to stop people from just living in storm for a really long time and playing heal off. This is something that probably didn't affect a lot of your games, but in zero build competitive especially, heal offs were really effective because of how fast the games die, because people can't like build or anything. The games would die really fast, so just playing heal off was a decent strat, and you saw that abused a decent amount in the zero build Twitch rivals. So I think that was probably one of the main reasons they did it. I never liked how long you could kind of exist in the storm in Fortnite, and I think this is like a nice little benefit that makes it to where you don't want to be in the storm forever, but you can still kind of tank storms sometimes, you know? If your entire strategy is just to exist in the storm, it's not going to work, but if you are kind of late rotating at one point and you need to be in there for a little bit, it's fine. It's not like it's going to be hitting for 10 all the time, so I think Storm Sickness was a good change. You can now ride some animals. I really don't know how effective this is going to be, but you can ride some of the animals. And then there's also this sapling thing that you can plant. I don't really understand it, but you can plant the sapling and then it grows over time and you can go and harvest it in future matches. So kind of think of it like a tent, but it's a sapling you plant, and I think it gives you decent loot over time if you let it like fully mature and fully grow. But we'll have to see how that changes the game. That is going to be it for today's video. There might be some things that I missed, but I think I covered everything that like really mattered as far as like playing the game and like performing well in the game. You know, I don't really cover like miscellaneous random cheesy changes or anything like that. But as far as like the major points of this update and the things you really need to know if you want to do well in Season 3, I think I covered most of it. If you guys did enjoy this video, like I said previously, give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more. Use my creator code in the item shop. It is EvolveJake. I would much appreciate that. And make sure you subscribe because I'm going to have a lot of videos covering how to do well in Season 3, some tips, tricks, and all of the things that will help you guys get more wins in Season 3. Thanks for watching.